Eagles Entertainment.
Eagle Eye in the Sky is fueled by Gatorade, the official sports drink of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Anything that move, I don't care who it is. Let's go. Give me everything you got. Play fast, play hard. Let's meet these boys tonight in their house. It's party time. It's party time. Here we go. Touchdown!
You are listening to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Now here's your host, Fran Duffy.
That's right of the weekend. We've got training camp once again today as the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast fueled by Gatorade continues. I'm Fran Duffy, and as always, I think we've got a great show for you here on episode number 341. At the top of this week's show, we've got Chalk Talk, where I chat with both Ben Fennell and Chris McPherson. The Eagles put pads on for the first time here this summer, on Tuesday for the 6th training camp practice of the summer. Excited to dig into some of our big takeaways. There's a lot of action out here on the field down at the NovaCare Complex. We're going to get into it all with Ben and Chris. Before we get there, I want to tell you guys, make sure you're getting ready for next year's NFL draft with myself, Ben Fennell, Dane Brugler. This week on the Journey to the Draft podcast, we are breaking down the top ACC prospects. We've already done the Big 12, the Pac-12. We're doing the ACC today. We did non-Power 5 teams. That includes Notre Dame and BYU a couple of weeks ago. We've gone through some of the top quarterbacks already in the country. It's a class that's full of really intriguing quarterbacks, some pass rushers, some corners. It's been a lot of fun breaking down the top prospects for the upcoming NFL draft every single week over on the Journey to the Draft podcast presented by Life Brand. So make sure you go tune in, go subscribe, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, make sure you go subscribe to the Journey to the Draft podcast. And also, look, if you love what you're hearing right now on the Eagle Eye in the Sky, the daily training camp recaps, go on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. If you've got a question, we'll answer it. We do it every single day here during the summer, and we'll be back on a twice weekly schedule once we get into the regular season. Excited to get things going here. Look, as we're getting closer and closer to the start of the 2021 campaign. That being said, let's get into our conversation with Ben and Chris. What were our takeaways here from pads being on for the first time? It's time now for Chalk Talk.
Let's get down to business. It's time for Chalk Talk.
All right, so we've got a lot to discuss here as I welcome in Chris McPherson and Ben Fennell. Guys, Tuesday's practice has finally come, and we saw the Eagles take the field here at the NovaCare Complex with pads for the first time for the 2021 season. Like I said, a lot to break down. C-Mac, Ben, guys, a lot to break down. We saw a lot of action out on the field. They got done a little before noon. I think this was the longest practice to date, and we saw some good periods, some good action here today.
Was there a lot to break down today?
There's a lot to break down. I'll say it like 10 more times, and we'll really drive it home. A lot to break down. And we'll come to you first, C-Mac, for some of the news right off the top.
Oh, I had to wait for my jingle there for a second. So not much on the injury front, so we can get into what mainly took place on the practice fields here at the NovaCare Complex. But the new addition, Ryan Kerrigan, exited practice on Monday holding his hand. The team says he's day-to-day with a thumb injury. Wide receiver Devontae Smith, okay, week to week with the knee injury, but it was great seeing him out there fielding balls on the jugs machine, watching from the sideline. So the fact that he's not just in the facility doing stuff with the trainers the whole time is encouraging to see. Andre Dillard left practice or was out of team drills about midway through practice. Not quite sure what happened there. Nothing from the team, so we'll have to monitor that. But today was a Jordan Mailata day as we get into the depth chart notes with Fran.
Yeah, today was a Jordan Mailata day at left tackle. That was really the big notable one on the offensive side of the football. Defensively, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. It was a Derek Barnett day with the ones on one side. You mentioned no Ryan Kerrigan, so we saw more Milton Williams off the edge with the second team unit here on Tuesday. At the second level on defense, linebacker continued that big rotation, but it did seem like Eric Wilson and TJ Edwards got a majority of the first team reps. That's kind of what it seemed like watching every single team period. And then at safety, a little bit of a rotation there between Kayvon Wallace and Marcus Epps as well, opposite Anthony Harris, but it seemed to be mostly Kayvon Wallace, C-Mac.
So I just want to follow up there. So Nick Sirianni, he spoke to reporters before the practice started. It was interesting because he was asked, what's the tally as he's compiling who wins each day between the offense and the defense? And he noted the defense won on Monday, but Nick said he didn't have the total tally. This guy's the head coach. This guy's the CEO of the team. He darn well knows what the breakdown is, okay? He just doesn't want to admit it. He's like, oh, yesterday's, firmly in my mind. I'm looking toward today's practice. In the back of his mind, he has to be thinking the defense is up, whatever the score may be.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun little note there, a sequence from Nick Sirianni before practice got going, his press conference, which was carried live on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and the Eagles mobile app and the social channels. Let's get into some of the big things we saw today. And, I guess let's start. I'll tell you what, let's start with the end. Because at the end of practice, they did one of my favorite things, which is they'll do kind of essentially a scrimmage, but it was a move the field period where you've got your ones versus ones, twos versus twos, threes versus threes. They roll the ball out to the 25-yard line and say, all right, offense, move the football. And you've got the down markers in. It's 1st and 10. Let's see how far you can go. So C-Mac, take us through a little bit of play-by-play. What did you see there from that final scrimmage to end practice?
All right, so first, before the final period got underway, Nick Sirianni brought the entire team to midfield, and you were wondering if this was the end of practice. Was he breaking things down? But no, he was kind of getting everyone together to let them know what was at stake here. And it was interesting as rookie cornerback Zach McPherson noted in his post-practice press conference, you could feel the intensity kicked up a notch here. The speed of practice moved much faster as they went into a 2-minute drill situation. So overall, big takeaway, the defense was flying around. We're looking at the first team unit here. I'm going to say that Jalen Hurts did a good job of getting the tight ends involved. Both Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz each notched a reception. The Goddard catch came on an Avonte Maddox blitz, so good job by Hurts there, hanging in the pocket, getting the ball to number 88. Second team note, how about Raekwon Williams pulling the Dikembe Mutombo for his second batted pass of the day? Yeah, you can waggle the finger there, but did a great job of knocking the ball down from Joe Flacco. No other big notes there. Again, defense, I thought overall won this one. And then the third team unit, Nick Mullins had a nice rope to rookie free agent Jamon Osborne at wide receiver. And I also didn't complete this pass. It was the final play of the period to Adrian Killens. But again, I like that Nick Mullins, he throws with anticipation. He sees the holes in the defense. He tried to stick it in between two defenders. It was just quite a little inaccurate. But that rounded out the session. But overall, the defense got the better of the offense, flying around as they did the entire practice. So those were my big takeaways there from the three teams performing to end this practice in this 2-minute drill session.
Yeah, and I thought, especially going back to that first team, the two completions to the tight end, you talked about the Dallas Goedert one, the Zach Ertz one as well. Both of those for Jalen Hurts came on 3rd down. So executing there, on the most important down, I thought was good to see. After that final catch by Zach Ertz, it was basically there was only a few seconds left on the clock. The offense had already used their timeout, and there was a pressure, I believe, from T.Y. McGill, who got into the backfield. And whether they blew it as a sack or a scramble, either way, that ended the series of downs there for the offense. The defense got off the field. But I did want to note that those two completions came on 3rd down, which was important. Ben, any big takeaways for you just from this practice, because of the first one in pads?
Just kind of off the heels of what C-Mac was saying. I don't recall any of those offensive drives moving past midfield. I felt like it was a defensive dominant day, not only in that session, but the other team sessions, the 7-on-7s. I feel like a lot of contested catches, a lot of pockets collapsing when that ball isn't coming out quick. And I feel like they're bringing the energy and kind of setting the tone for practices each day. We don't see the ball in the air a whole lot, pushing it down the field. So it's either coming out quick. And I think these DBs and linebackers are starting to get a feel for the offense sitting here in practice number 6, which it happens, and may need to change some things up and kind of keep that defense a little more honest for the rest of camp.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the back and forth goes between both sides of the football. For me, I just wanted to kind of focus in on the one-on-ones because, we talk about, obviously, with team drills when the pads go on, those get ratcheted up. But the one-on-one urgency also can get a little bit chippier, because obviously you're thumping a little bit more than you would if you're just in shorts and a T-shirt. So when I first came out on the field after the live practice stream to start practice with myself and Dave Spadaro, I watched the running backs and linebackers. They worked on some pass protection, blitz pickup type of drills in the near end zone. I thought Kerryon Johnson was the best, was kind of the star of that group. He was really, really good. And that was to be expected. I mean, coming in, having done a full study of Kerryon Johnson from last year, I would venture to say he's one of the better pass protecting backs in all of the NFL. So for him to have that kind of day, not overall surprising. I would say Kenny Gainwell really stood out to me as well. He had a couple good reps, one that he would like to have back, but a couple I thought were really, really good for the rookie to come in and show. We've already seen what he can do as a pass catcher. We knew that coming in. win. But to see him give that kind of effort in pass pro was good. I thought Boston Scott flashed. I thought Jordan Howard flashed. And then on the opposite side, I thought Sean Bradley and Joe Osman had the best rushing reps, blitzing both inside and outside. They kind of mixed and matched there with the set of linebackers. And then just over at the O-line, D-line 101s, I went over there again today. Javon Hargrave, guys, just continues to flash each and every day, whether it's in team drills or one-on-ones. Here today, you saw him win with quickness. You saw him win with power. He consistently wins with technique. So he's just finding multiple ways to be able to win against the quarterback. And then Derek Barnett got some wins on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I thought that was good, rushing from both left and right. I thought that Milton Williams had a good day as well. And I mentioned that he had got some reps with the second-team defense at defensive end, but he had reps both inside and outside in the one-on-ones and found ways to win. I really liked a win he had later on in the drill where he was able to win inside, and you just saw that ability, that first step explosiveness to cross the face of the offensive lineman and get into the backfield. Casey Tucker, I think I talked about him yesterday on the show. He continues to show up. And again, a guy that's going to be fighting for one of those back-end roster spots, but he's having a good camp. But I think my favorite one, guys, and you guys know this, you've covered enough training camps, that there are always these kinds of reps where, a vet, loses a rep to like an undrafted free agent or a rookie, a late round pick. And that is exactly what happened here in the one-on-ones. Coyote Awasika, the undrafted free agent from Buffalo, he got the best of Brandon Graham. He slid inside to line up against the guard, and Awasika kind of threw him off balance and threw him to the ground. And you know how this goes, C-Mac. All the vets were giving it to BG afterwards and hooting and hollering. Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox. So they said, all right, run it back again, go back again. So then BG comes back and he wins on the inside, and those guys were all having a good time. But it was a good rep from Awasika, and it was just a fun rep. You always get those in training camp. You're not going to win every single one. I thought it was funny the way that all the vets were kind of ribbing BG after that rep.
It's funny you mentioned BG because he spoke after practice, and the whole emphasis was, what's it like being the old guy? What's it like being the longest tenured Eagle with Jason Peters no longer with the team? And for BG, he's just telling these young guys to enjoy it because, quite honestly, it's crazy how fast the time flies. That he was, in 2010, the team's first-round selection out of the University of Michigan. And he went through a lot of adversity early in his career before he became a full-time starter and then eventually a Super Bowl hero, and now one of the most beloved players, arguably in franchise history, certainly of this generation. And, he's seen it all, and he's willing to share notes and take the young guys under his wing and just tell them, these are the mistakes I made when I was your age. Don't make them, and just seize the moment, enjoy the moment, because it's not going to last forever. Now, Ben, you and we got to watch the wide receiver DB one-on-ones. Did you have any particular takeaways from that session?
No, I thought it was a competitive session. I felt like the defensive backs kind of got the better of the receiver group. Some nice PBUs down the field. It started off with Steven Nelson carrying Jalen Rieger down the field and easily swatting away a fade route. And some back-end roster guys that are really chippy in the third and fourth unit, whether it's Josiah Scott, who got himself another interception today, second-year player out of Michigan State. Zach McPherson seems to be showing up session after session after session out there. So a couple really good, interesting young players on the back end. Not to be not mentioned is Travis Fulgham did beat Darius Slay deep down the right-hand sideline. So it was nice to see number 13 getting himself open against a top-flight corner in this league, C-Mac.
And I'll just add Avonte Maddox had 2 reps there in the wide receiver DB one-on-ones and was completely sticky, got a couple pass breakups, was not fooled whatsoever on the route. So nice job by him.
I feel like he's been quiet in camp, but like a good quiet. Like he hasn't been beaten, hasn't missed tackles. He's been right there in coverage. Sometimes he gets his hands on the ball. No huge flash plays, but just steady at that nickel spot. And he looks more than comfortable in that slot. I think that's right where he wants to be.
Which is why I'm glad you mentioned. I just want to say I'm glad you mentioned Fulgham because I feel like he's having that type of camp as well, where Hightower and Watkins are making even Devontae was making the highlight reel catches. Fulgham is just going out there and doing all the dirty work, but also making the plays that come his way.
Hey, Matt, kind of just talking about that receiver group, collectively. Yeah. There's one guy over 25 years old. We're probably going to be rolling into this season with nobody over 25. I think when everybody gets out to that practice field, there is no pecking order. There is no, you got to let the veteran go first. He's earned his place. He's an all-pro. He's earned that. it's kind of open season. And I like just guys kind of taking that opportunity and saying, you know what, I can be the guy in this room looking around.
I find it hard to believe, Ben, that yours, if we were going to go like player of the day, that yours would not be Zach McPherson at corner. Just another day, really active and productive on the football.
Yeah, I literally have 5 or 6 plays detail that excited me today, whether it was in 1-on-1, 7-on-7s, team session, developmental 7-on-7, right at the end of practice when you thought it was over. Some guys stayed out there. Fran, that's right when I left you. Second play of the session, PBU, pop the ball up, interception, and a huge round of applause. And he was all fired up there late in practice. He's been making a lot of big plays, running with the 2s, sometimes the 3s. I want to see a veteran day and see him roll with the 1s and just see how it looks out there, see how he feels and see how confident and if he's ready to kind of roll against some of the 1s on the other side. But Zach McPherson, number 27, definitely stacking practices and stacking big impact plays in each session in the practice as well.
So from one rookie to another, for me, and I went back and forth here because I was trying to decide who would be my player of the day. And I ended up going with a guy that maybe didn't have like all the splash plays today, like McPherson or Quez Watkins. But I think that when you see the jump in what he was asked to do, it was a big day for Milton Williams, the rookie defensive lineman, the 3rd-round pick, had primarily been a defensive tackle. With Ryan Kerrigan out, he showed off that versatility coming in and playing some more defensive end, was in on a couple of those, quote-unquote sacks of Joe Flacco there in some of those team drills. So you saw him getting active pressure against the quarterback. And then in the one-on-ones, he was impressive as well. He's flashed every single day, watching it. And look, is he all the way there yet? No, he's going to have some development to do still. We talked about some of those things that young players go through as they try and play as fast as possible. But I think with Milton Williams, you see those flashes, and that's what's important. And I think when you saw watching the one-on-ones, there were a couple plays where, all right, here he goes with a bull rush. Here he goes with a quick inside move. Now he's trying to win with an outside move. He's trying to vary up that rush plan. He's a high-effort player. We know about the athleticism, so it was good to see him flash. The moment wasn't too big for him with the pads coming on for the first time. And that's really what you're looking for from these young players. So for me, I would say that was he was my player of the day. Real quickly, too. I talked about the pass protection drills that I watched early in practice, right? And there was a play. I think it was the second team period. I had just walked back over from the O-line, D-line one-on-ones, and it was the second one because I'm standing next to Sheil Kapadia from The Athletic, and we're sitting there, we're watching this team drill, and it was like the 3rd or 4th play, and just from our angle, from where we were sitting, you could see Anthony Harris making a beeline for the quarterback. So he's blitzing off the defensive left side, and just before the pass is thrown, you see Harris just get stonewalled. He gets stopped like a brick wall right at the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, oh, past the blitz pickup right there. And I couldn't see who made the block. Ball's thrown. Jalen Hurts delivers the pass, completion for a first down on the opposite side of the field to Zach Ertz. But I'm like, all right, let me see who made this blitz pickup. Lo and behold, here comes Nick Sirianni flying into the backfield, jumping up and down on a player. And it's Boston Scott, the C's part, and I see that it's number 35. So I'm like, all right, the pass protection drills they worked on, they clearly had a purpose here today. The defense was sending pressure on a number of these drills, and you saw the blitz pick up there from Boston Scott. That led to the big completion. Nick Sirianni was fired up for Scott. It was a big completion for Hurts. So that to me would be my play of the day. C-Mac, I don't know if there was a play that stood out to you as you're the standout rep from the morning session.
This is not it, but Sirianni also, and I'm sure, again, he did not want to have to do this, but after one of Zach McPherson, of all people, I shouldn't be messing up that name, Zach McPherson's pass breakups, Sirianni ran over and gave him some props. So that has to hurt with the offensive-minded coach having to give love to the defense. But my play of the day was, again, I think I mentioned this on the podcast yesterday, wanting to see the running backs with the pads on to get a better evaluation. And a player who's flashed early in camp has been Jason Huntley. Well, there was one rep in its team period where, look, the blocking was tremendous. The C's were parted. He was able to scoot up the middle, but he used his vision and his quick steps to be able to get to the right side and then be able to jut up the sideline and take it to the house. So that to me was so impressive to see. He hit the hole hard, took advantage of the blocking, but used his vision to kind of carry himself over to the right side before kicking it into another gear to go for the long score. So Jason Huntley with my play of the day there for this first day in pads?
I think it's going to be big for Huntley. You know, these next 3 weeks, we've talked about that crowded running back room and the battle that's going to happen here this summer. I think it's pretty clear that he is arguably the fastest of all of those running backs, even Miles Sanders. I mean, Huntley has got legit juice. But I think what it ultimately will come down to is, what else can you do? Can you continue to do more for this football team? Is he going to be able to impact special teams, not just as a returner, but as something? And he hasn't really been working with the punt return unit. So what else can you do for us on special teams? Can you step up as a blocker? Can you be an impact receiver? Can you be more consistent catching the football? That's going to be really, really big for him over these next 3-4 weeks. When you get into the preseason games, and you get into some of these joint practices against opposing teams, I'm really interested to see how Jason Huntley can look and if he can try and build off it, because it seems like he's got like a big play every single day in practice.
Yeah, and he's a good dual threat back coming out of college. So He just needs to get more consistent in catching the ball and some more NFL style route concepts for running backs. But my play of the day is going to be the best pop of the day. And that was the most audible hit of the day. And that was big Anthony Harris giving it to Travis Fulgham right after the catch, kind of a face-to-face collision right when Fulgham caught the ball, looked to turn upfield. And big safety 28 was right in his face and gave kind of we all heard the pop, and then he heard kind of a ooh on the sideline. And that was probably one of the bigger hits of the day. But just nice to hear the pads clicking out there. Elijah Riley had a nice pop on a receiver right in front of me and C-Mac, I believe in 7-on-7s. And those catches at the catch point, little trickier when these safeties can come downhill and really kind of put their pads on you and pop that ball out. So it's something they've been training ad nauseum without the pads on. You see coaches with the giant sticks with the foam constantly raking and poking at those receivers at the catch point. But once those hits start coming, now we're playing football. And Anthony Harris, I expect we'll have a couple more of those hits in camp here.
You mentioned Elijah Riley. You had a great note about him in our practice notes, which will be up on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the Eagles mobile app, a little bit after we record this. So make sure you go and check those notes out over on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the Eagles mobile app. We will tweet them out as well. You can follow us all over on Twitter. We'll make sure we put that out. Guys, great stuff as always. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow for another practice here. I'm not sure if the pads are on again, C-Mac, but if not, we've got. I know we'll have another full practice tomorrow morning on Wednesday. We'll be back right here on the show to break it all down. If you're listening to this podcast, and I know you're a lot like me, you're really excited for football to be back. You're excited for Eagles football to be back. And if you live in the Philadelphia area, you do not want to miss your chance to come and see football live and in person. You can come see the Eagles practice this summer. Do not miss the 2021 Eagles live and in person at Training Camp Public Practices presented by Independence Blue Cross. They're right across the street from the NovaCare Complex, right over at Lincoln Financial Field. Tickets are on sale now for just $10. And all of those proceeds benefit Eagles Autism Challenge. So go online. Get your tickets now at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/public practice and get your first look at the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles. Great stuff there from both Ben and Chris, who you can follow on Twitter, just like I do. And while you're at it, I'm at Eagles XOs. That's where I post all the podcasts I'm a part of and all of our X's and O's content that we produce here with Eagles Entertainment. And you know how much I appreciate everybody that promotes this podcast on social media. That's one way to support the show. But the other is to go on to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, leave us a rating or leave us a comment. I want to give a shout out today to someone who did just that. No question. Just want to check in and let us know how much they love it. That's Jones471. Left a 5-star review saying best training camp and in-season Eagles podcast. Great podcast. Must listen for every Eagles fan. So Jones, thanks so much for the rating. Thanks so much for the comment. Thanks to all of you out there as well for your continued support of this show and all the rest of our podcast offerings here with Eagles Entertainment. That being said, I think that'll do it. Another show in the books here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade. For everybody here at the NovaCare Complex, I'm Fran Duffy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.